What's up, fellas? Hey, hopefully you guys can hear me all right. Let me know in the chat if you can hear me, and we'll get started. Sweet. Thank you, Mr. Noons. Robert, oh, it's gonna be fun, man. I'm not gonna be the one doing the tango, but we are gonna be ripping a tango apart, which is always fun, you know, to tear perfectly good electronics apart. I said this one's not perfectly good. So the situation here is I have a Team Black Sheep TBS Tango 2 that it used to work great, and then it stopped turning on for whatever reason. Like, you could try to turn it on and it just wasn't working. So I got in touch with the Team Black Sheep tech support, and they sent me a brand new main board for the TBS Tango 2 that's a V3 main board that has a better version of the Micro TX transmitter module built into the main board, which is awesome. Thank you, Team Black Sheep, for sending that to me. And we're going to go ahead and start the installation process of the Tango 2 V3 board. Tim Two Top, what's up? I'm going to go ahead and shift over to the close-up view, and hopefully you guys can see that. I'm just going to run around real quick and make sure that everything is set up right. I'm pretty sure it is. What you should see is a picture of the wide view of the Tango 2 and my little picture down at the bottom. Robert, oh yes. Awesome. So it looks like everything is good to go. And we're ready to get rocking on tearing down the Tango 2. Now, as Robert O said, Team Black Sheep did repair or sent me the parts that I needed to repair the Tango 2 under warranty, so kudos to them. Their tech support was fantastic, and their warranty was great. The only issue is that their parts come from Hong Kong, so you may end up waiting a while, and they're typically on back order because they sell a lot of stuff. They're very popular. So you may end up waiting a little bit. I had to wait for about 2 weeks to get the warranty part, but now that I have it, we're going to go ahead and throw the V3 main board into my Tango 2. So we're going to go ahead and start stripping this thing down and taking it apart. First, I'll show you what it's doing. This is the broken one. When you try to turn it on, I mean, it does nothing. It's DED. So you got like one little square there. I'm sitting here holding it. It's just not doing anything. And we went through a lot of steps to try to get this working, but I filled out their support ticket. So anybody that's watching that has problems with other companies and filling out support tickets, if you do what they ask you to do, they'll take care of you every time. So we're gonna go ahead and start breaking this down. So the first thing you gotta do is you gotta take off these rubber grips on the back. They come off real easy. You just kind of slip your fingernail under there and start prying away, and you can get those off. Pretty simple. And then just kind of snap in place. They go back on just as easy. Yes, Dennis, the Geek Squad is in the house. Then you need a 1.5 millimeter hex driver, and there's 6 screws. You're gonna find those screws here, here, and here, 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 and here. And when we remove those 6 screws, this back cover will come right off. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. Right after I get my fancy magnetic screw tray ready to go, we'll have that right here so we can keep all our screws in it and not have them get lost all over the place. So let's see, there we go. And for the guys that are watching this, thanks for stopping by. I mean, normally I wouldn't do something like this live, but I mean, what else are you gonna do on a Sunday afternoon in the cold, right? Other than maybe go flying. It's getting to be the season where, you know, people want their RC fix. They want their fix of watching videos. And what better way to appease the masses than to go live repairing a busted transmitter. So for those of you that are curious, this is the Team Black Sheep Tango 2. What this is it's a, you know, game controller form factor, full transmitter. But rather than, you know, having a like an FR Sky module or something like that in there, it is OpenTX. It runs a custom fork of OpenTX called Freedom TX, and the transmitter module in it is strictly a Crossfire module. So what Crossfire is, for those of you guys that are in the, you know, more exclusively the fixed wing community, because I know a large portion of the audience, if not everyone that's here right now, is a fixed wing guy. Crossfire is a long range protocol that runs on 900 megahertz, and it is fantastic. The Tango 2 has that built in, and it's got a limited number of, well, it doesn't have a limited number of channels, but it just has a limited number of switches. So it's made more technically for the quad audience, but it works great on fixed wing too. If it's just a little bit cumbersome, you know, for some things, but it does work. And it's a much smaller and more comfortable form factor, in my opinion, than your larger transmitters, especially for doing quads and stuff like that. All right, so we've got that back case on. Hopefully you guys saw that. And you know, the 2 momentary buttons stay attached to that back case, so we'll move that up out of the way. The first thing that we're going to do now that we're inside is go ahead and disconnect the battery. So that's down here in that lower right hand side. And then the battery is held on to the main board with a piece of like industrial Velcro. This is just a 1S LiPo cell, and it pops right off. We'll set that aside and start removing all the other pieces that we need to take off of here. On the left side of the board, we've got our SD card slot. We'll go ahead and remove the SD card. We've got that right there. I believe this is our speaker. We're going to need to disconnect the speaker. Move that connector out of the way. This, I believe, is our LCD. And that should just pop right up. It does. We've got that removed. Let's see, up here, we've got a UFL connector that the antenna attaches to, and we'll remove that here in just a little bit. First, I'll go ahead and remove all of the screws that are holding the main board onto the front cover. And again, it's the same, 1.5 millimeter hex driver. Yeah, Robert O. Crossfire is awesome. For if you're ever in a need, and you need to go do some long range anything, Crossfire is the way to go. It's getting to the point now where it's very cost effective. Especially with things like the Tango 2 and like the Radio Master and jumper radios. You can get Crossfire modules that just plug right into those things and work fantastic. I'm removing all of the retention screws that hold the main board onto the front casing of the Tango 2. And hopefully you guys can kind of see what's going on here. I'm not doing like a lot of zooming and stuff like that. I know my stupid hands are probably getting in the way of everything. I'm going to try to lift that out here. Alright, and that is lifting off. So now I just need to take a little bit of time to get that UFL module out of there so we can release the antenna. Now the rocker switches up here and our push buttons, we can go ahead and remove these covers. Actually, the rocker switches, I think those are attached to the new board, but the push buttons, we can remove those because those will transfer over to the new board. This and if anyone is tuning in, from the TBS page, and you're seeing me do a bunch of stuff wrong, feel free to pipe in here and let me know. All right, so we've got the main board out, and now we need to remove the gimbals. But what I'm going to do is go ahead and open up the new one. I've got the new one in the box here, and see what's on the new one and what we need to transfer off of the old main board onto the new main board to get this thing up and running. All right, so fresh out the box. All right, so there's our new main board. All right, Amy's coming down and she doesn't know I'm filming. So there's probably going to be a lot of noise, and that's okay. All right. Just getting all the tape and stuff off of the bag. And what do we got in the bag here? So this is the new main board. Look, they even have a big thing that says battery, just in case you're a moron. All right, and this is some new dual lock. You know, it's not hook and loop, but it's like super Velcro. All right, so now we'll go ahead and start transferring things from the old board to the new one. Let's see, where do we need to get started? All right, I know we need to transfer our gimbals. And if I'm not mistaken, transferring the gimbals is as easy as doing these 4 screws. Yeah, I know, Dennis. If they hadn't labeled it for me, I'd be one of those big dummies that does it wrong. Alright, and that should be one gimbal off. Now what's cool about the gimbals on the Tango 2 is, as you saw, like this whole thing just came right off. There's no wires, there's no nothing. So on the Tango 2, it uses Hall effect sensors, but the Hall effect sensors are built into the main board, right? You've just got your magnets and everything that make everything work built into the actual physical gimbal, and then your Hall effect sensors are built into the main board, right? So you can swap out the gimbals without messing with a bunch of wires, which is really nice. All right, then we'll remove these 2 screws, which should allow the other gimbal to come off. Sorry, Robert. It's not that easy to change, man. Alright, so now we've got both of the gimbals off. We do need to transfer our roller wheel, which is right here. And that just slides out. That's just an encoder with a push button, right? So the encoder potentiometer is still there. I'm just going to compare these one more time. I don't think there's anything else that we need to do. Pretty sure we're good to go here. So this is our old. We'll go ahead and move that guy out of the way, and we'll start putting things onto the new board. We'll go ahead and start with this here gimbal. We'll go ahead and install the roller wheel. All right, nice. So that's on, and now we'll do the gimbals. I mean, I don't know if you guys notice. I mean, we are doing this all live, so this is pretty simple to work on. And they've made it where not only is it user serviceable, but that's their model, is for the user to service the radio, which from a support standpoint is great. For people like me, I mean, I enjoy working on electronics and stuff. I think for some people it may not be the best idea, but I love it. I love that they just sent me a new main board, let me do it myself, and that just makes the whole process go by a lot faster rather than having to send them the transmitter, you know, and wait for service. That would have sucked. All right, we'll get this one on there. I guess there was a couple of those screws that I didn't really need to remove. Oh well. They would have had to come out anyway. And again, you know, we're not having to plug in anything to go to get these new gimbals on, which is nice. Yeah, Dennis, this is not, yeah, make sure you put the battery in the right spot. It's so hard, man. I don't know where it goes. Yep, not having to mess with any wires on the gimbals, that's pretty freaking fantastic. All right. And like I said, I don't think we need. Yeah, we can go ahead and put the other two screws on for the gimbals as well. Oh no. And then we'll put our battery back on, install the SD card, like this fastest stream ever. You know, it's fun to watch this stuff real time. And that's one of the reasons I did the live stream was, you know, let's watch it real time and see how long does it really take to do this. You know, because there's so many guys out there that there's plenty of videos on repairing or upgrading the Tango 2. And, you know, it's difficult to gauge like how long something really takes when you're watching one of those videos because, you know, who knows how much editing they did to the video. But with this, I mean, there's no editing. This is live stuff. With screw ups and everything. All right. I'm going to fold these down. Now this is the Tango 2 Pro that has folding gimbals. So I can just lift up the gimbal and fold it over where it doesn't get crushed. And we're going to go ahead and do that so they don't smash down while I'm working on it. Dennis, if it still doesn't work when I'm done, then it wasn't the main board, was it? Yeah, beating it with a hammer, I mean, that's always an alternative, right? If all else fails, beat it with a hammer. All right. So I think we have everything transferred from one board to the other. Before we transfer it into the case, I'm going to go ahead and put the Velcro pad onto the new board and stick the battery to the new board because I have a feeling that there's not a lot of support there under the main board if I do the battery later, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and put the battery onto the board now. Man, I better not mess this up. All right, so we got the Velcro pad on there. Yeah, we'll go ahead and wait. I think I can pop that on. All right. So at this point, I need to get that little UFL connector on there for the antenna. I am almost 100% certain that this is the most tedious part of this whole process. Whoa. I think I got that on. Happy days. Now I gotta get that, like a little rubber strap that holds that antenna in place. Oh, come on. Oh man, there it goes. Awesome. And then we're gonna fish that through these little, there's some little cutouts. Man, we got the antenna back on. That part I will really admit I was a little bit concerned about. In retrospect, I'm not sure why I was concerned about it, but I was. And now we need to fish all those little ribbon cables and stuff through and try to get this thing situated. Hold on. So there's something, I'm keeping it from going in there on this side. Sure if that roller wheel is just a little bit off. Uh-oh. It seems like it's a tiny bit out of alignment. Yeah, it's hammer time. I'm gonna be off camera here just a second while I try to figure out what the alignment issue is here. And it's only on one side, so there's got to be something. Something that's a little bit off. Not sure what it is. Yeah, I think it's the scroll wheel. All right, we got it seated in there now. It was just the scroll wheel was a little off, but now that I've got that centered, that seems to be good to go. Right, now we can go ahead and reattach. Actually, we'll go ahead and secure the board into the front half of the case with the 4 screws. We got, uh-oh. Oh man. That almost sucked. Oh, Dennis. Don't forget the buttons. You're right. Damn it, man. Thanks for saying that, dude. I would have been pierced later. Yep. Nice. How the hell did these go in here? Oh, more off-screen time. Nothing like pop on. They do. Alright, so then we got our buttons in. Thank you, Dennis. Alright, so now we can start putting our screws in. Yeah, Barry Campbell, this is the TBS Team Black Sheep Tango 2. Alright, we got 2 of our screws in. We just need to get 2 more. Boop, 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 boop. Here in the bottom. Then we can start. We can plug in our speaker and plug in the OLED screen. Put the battery in, put in the SD card, and see what happens. All right, so we've got all the screws back in. Get this little ribbon connector for the OLED back on there. That should just pop back into place. There we go. We'll get the speaker installed. All right. Speaker is done. Put in the SD card. Interesting, it's no longer like the push style SD holder. It just goes in, which is fine. It's not designed to come out anyway. Now we will install our battery. That looks good. Get the battery plugged in. And I'll go ahead and flip it over and see if it turns on.
Welcome to Tango 2.
Oh, shit.
Switch warning.
Boom. Shakalaka. Done. All right. I'll go ahead and get the back cover reinstalled here. Smoke release? Come on, man. Have some faith. Smoke release. You was crazy. Dang it, man. Dang it, man. All right, 2 more screws. Yeah, the nice part, Robert, is that they're all 1.5 millimeter hex, so you don't need to like change tools in the middle of the job. You just keep using the same driver for everything. And on the front half of the case, they've got brass inserts in there, so you've got a nice, positive engagement, real smooth threading. It's nice, man. These are nice radios. All right, we'll go ahead and get those grips back in there. These grips never quite go back on the same way once you take them off, right? But that's actually pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, and next we'll do this side. Get that all in. That's all looking and feeling pretty good, nice and flush with the case. One down here that's not all the way in yet, but we can kind of massage that back. And I believe we are done with this side of it.
Welcome to Tango 2.
I'm not getting any kind of funky warnings here, so I'm gonna take a look. Oh, I see what's going on here. All right. Yep, so I can see all of my Hall effect sensors are working. That's awesome. Yep, so all the buttons that I have programmed are working. And let's see. We'll go through the page setup. Nice. Let's go to the Crossfire menu. No, not the Betaflight menu. This ding dong. Rashka, this can support up to 12 channels with Crossfire if you install. They do have a micro module that you can install on the back of the radio that holds a micro transmitter module. Or actually, it might be like a nano module or something like that now. But you can do a multi-protocol module on the back. So if you wanted to fly like Spectrum, you could with this radio. But your limitation is going to be your switches. So you've only got 6 switches. You've got 2 on the back that are momentary. And you've got 2 push buttons on the shoulders, and then 2 3-position. So these are 2-position switches on the shoulders, and then 2 3-position switches. Your trims are a little wonky, but your gimbals, the gimbals on these Tango 2s feel awesome. I just turned it off. I couldn't get out of that stupid Betaflight menu.
Welcome to Tango 2.
But I do want to make sure that I've got there's our Crossfire menu, Tango 2, Crossfire. I think that's on the wrong thing, but that's okay. All right, we do indeed have a V3 board. You guys may not be able to see that, but we can go all the way up to 500 milliwatts on Crossfire with this board, which is awesome. And I think we're done, fellas. Everything is looking good. So we can go back to the main camera. Oh yeah, Dennis, it'll do 6 channels for show. For show. And the other stuff I have to do to it to test the crossfire functionality I will do off camera. This was more just to show that it used to be dead. TBS Cross or Team Black Sheep helped me out. They sent me a new V3 mainboard. I swapped in the mainboard, and now it's working again. So thank you to Team Black Sheep for hooking me up with the new V3 mainboard, and I mean, what can you say? Great customer service, great tech support. They were very patient while I went through their process of getting everything ready to go. So I really can't say enough about them, man. They did right by me, and they've got themselves a customer until they don't. Yes. So we were able to get everything done without breaking anything. So Robert Ortleb, Dennis, everyone who's kind of wondering, how can we use this for fixed wing? One of the things that's pretty cool, and let me get the other camera back on it, because this is actually a feature that I'm not sure that a lot of people know about. It's in the instructions. It's just not. It's not like boom in your face, right? So we'll switch it back over to the other camera. So can everybody see the transmitter again? So we're moving everything around. You can kind of see, I don't know. You can see everything moving around on the screen, kind of. But what I wanted to show you is whenever you're in flight, if you need to set up the trimmers, right? Because there are that's one thing that some folks will notice, right? There's no trim switches. How do I change the trim of the model? The way that you do that is by pressing and holding the scroll wheel. No, it's not that. What is it? You press and hold something. Maybe it's not menu.
Rudder trim.
There we go. You double click the scroll wheel.
Main menu.
And then you can hit the exit button to get out of there, right? So if you double click the scroll wheel while you are in flight or even on the ground, right? Double click the scroll wheel and it will call out what you're doing. So if you listen,
Rudder trim.
now I'm on rudder trim,
Throttle trim.
throttle trim,
Elevator trim.
elevator trim,
Aileron trim.
aileron trim, and you can change those voices too to say whatever you want. So if you wanted to say like F you fireman, you can totally do that. And then you adjust your trim
sensor.
with the scroll wheel.
Trim center. Trim center.
And then hit the exit button. So it's pretty easy to cycle through all of the trims. If you're using this on like a racing wing or any kind of fixed wing airplane, you just
Rudder trim.
double tap that scroll wheel.
Throttle trim. Elevator trim. Aileron trim. Main menu.
And it takes you through all of your different trims, and you can easily set up the radio doing that. It would too work in flight, Dennis. You just have big fat thumbs. All right. So, yes, we had a successful transplant, a successful rebuild of the TBS Tango 2. I'm sure that I will love this again. Now, mostly I use this on my quads. So I use it on, it is Crossfire. So I've got like the Crossfire Nano receiver modules that are about the size of your thumbnail that I put into my quads. And I use the TBS Tango 2 with multi-bind, where and a perfect example is what the multi-bind does is it assigns a user ID to your transmitters instead of like a oh, what do they call that? Like a, I used to know what it was called, but instead of a user ID, or instead of the electronic ID, it assigns my user ID to all of my transmitters and all of my receivers, right? So once I set this up, even though it's a new board, it's technically a brand new radio. Once I set this up with Wi-Fi and I assign my user ID to it, it is already bound to all of my quads that have a Nano RX receiver in it, which is awesome. You know, TBS is doing a lot of pretty innovative things right now, and all of the user IDs are unique. You know, so my user ID is obviously different than anybody else's. So all of my transmitters, and that's why it didn't bother me that much that this was dead. I've got a micro TX module on my Radio Master, and I was able to use my Radio Master for my quads while this was down. But now that it's back up, we will update the Wi-Fi firmware, assign my user ID to it, and this thing will be back in the game, flying on my quads without having to really do a lot of stuff, which is really cool. And I mean, that's pretty much all I got for today. Thank everybody for watching, though, for coming and hanging out for a little bit. I don't know, no idea how many people are in here, but however many of you folks that suffered through, you know, pulling out the old busted board from the Tango 2 and, you know, putting in the new board and seeing the successful rebirth of my Tango 2. Thanks for coming. What I do want to do a little bit of advertising while you guys are here. We do have a contest coming up, we have a giveaway coming up on December 21st, Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern, for our Air Marshal Monday show. If you want to get in on the drawing, you must send an email to me with the subject of giveaway and your YouTube name in the body of the message. And my email address I will put in the chat. It is rcairmarshal@gmail.com. So send me an email to rcairmarshal@gmail.com. I am 30 away from 2K, not 300, 30. So tell your friends, sub to the channel. Yeah, Robert, and that is, you know, the excitement that's coming here on the 21st. Not only is the 21st kind of our milestone of hitting 2,000 subscribers, but we also, that is going to be our 52nd live show. So 1 year of live shows. So it's our 1 year anniversary, 2K milestone, giveaway, and the giveaway... the main prize right now is going to be some Spectrum stuff. So, you know, you OpenTX guys, I apologize. But we are doing a smart upgrade package for 4S. It is going to include an AR630 receiver. It's going to include an Avian 60 amp smart ESC, as well as a 4S 3200 milliamp hour 100C battery. So you can rip the crap out of that battery. I think that, you know, it may have been something that, it may have been the only 4S 3200 they had in stock, but, you know, they sent me a 4S 3200 milliamp hour 100C pack for the giveaway. It is sponsored by myself and for Spectrum, so that's all going to go to one winner. We also have a $50 gift certificate, and we may have some other prizes that pop up between now and then. We may do two $50 gift certificates, We'll figure it all out. It's not all, super set in stone yet, but that main prize is, and that actually has a pretty good value to it. So I think that's about a $200 package there with the receiver, the ESC, and the battery. That's about $200, maybe a little more. So hope to see you guys there. Be sure to send me an email to rcairmarshal@gmail.com, and in the subject line put giveaway, and in the body put your YouTube handle, your YouTube name, so I know who you are, and we will get you entered into the contest. That is how you get your name on the wheel. You got to send me an email. If you don't send me an email, you don't get nothing. All right? Other announcements for tomorrow's live stream, right? So I am going live tomorrow, like always, tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Tomorrow is going to be a real flight fly-in. First, we're going to do a quick, moment of silence for Pearl Harbor Day, and then we're going to get right into the flying. Tomorrow's contest, minimum $25 gift certificate to Horizon Hobby. Any contributions that come in through PayPal will get added to the prize. Winner take all. The contest for tomorrow, for those of you guys that see this, is rolling Harriers, right? So you have to be able to do a rolling Harrier down the runway. It will be judged by the people in the chat, and it must be done in honor of Pearl Harbor Day. It must be done in World War II vintage U.S. warbirds. You cannot use 3D airplanes, but you can modify the settings in real flight on the warbirds to get them to fly 3D. If you know how to do that, great, you're probably going to win. If you don't know how to do that, you're probably going to crash, and it'll be awesome for all of us to see. So anyway, make sure you join us tomorrow night, 8 p.m. for the virtual fly-in. We're going to be doing our Rolling Harrier competition, Pearl Harbor Day style, and it is going to be U.S. warbirds only of the World War II era. It should be a lot of fun. Make sure you tune in. For those that are subscribed, thank you so much. For those that are not subscribed, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you turn on those notifications so you don't miss anything on the channel. Thank you guys all for being here today, for watching week in and week out. And we'll see you next time. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, live, RC Air Marshal. We'll see you guys.